Well, hello, and welcome everyone. Gotchaholic here, and today we'll be discussing Higurashi Gou, specifically the Satako-hen arc. Now, I'm uploading this video after the first episode of the Satako-hen arc, which is a village destruction arc, and is actually the first episode of Gou chronologically. At this point, for the OG watchers, we definitely know what's going on, and we're revolving around two theories, but we'll get into that in a moment. First, I want to give you a rundown on what happened throughout the rest of the show, because like I said, we pretty much know what's going on. With that said, let's revisit Arc 1 for just a moment. I'll explain all these arcs under the context that Satako is a true antagonist. It doesn't matter if she's contracted to Hanyu or to Feathering, whoever she's being influenced by does not matter. The point is that she's playing the main role as the antagonist, as the Satako theorists have accurately predicted, so good job on you. And with that said, Arc 1 goes like this. After Rika is free from the original 100-year cycle for 5 years, Satako does something, and now Rika reset. Now, we don't know this, but after the reset, Rika goes back to the very first arc that we see in the original. The fragment world where Keiichi is paranoid. And Rika gives Keiichi a hint about Rena, pretty much telling him to trust her, which should have fixed everything that went wrong in the original. Satako must have noticed this and then somehow injected Rena with the syndrome. After facilitating this event, Satako gets the knife, goes over to Rika, kills her, kills herself for the reset, hence the whole murder-suicide speculation that Mion gives Keiichi later when he's in the hospital. Now, Keiichi actually still has the syndrome because he had the syndrome in the original, and Gou is basically a repeat version of the original Arc 1, so this explains the context of that hospital scene, which also throws off new viewers. Now let's get into Arc 2. So ultimately, the thing that Rika changes is she has Keiichi give Mion the doll. That seems important because that starts a bunch of shit, but basically, that should have fixed everything. However, the most common idea between OG watchers is that Mion still goes on a rampage and kills everyone related to the three great families. Satako actually kills Rika, so Mion having the keys is somewhat a red herring, and the fact that Mion has symptoms of the syndrome, but this is probably when Satako injected Mion, because it makes sense that she kills Rika, injects Mion, and then explains why she's acting suspicious in the last episode of Arc 2, which is like episode 8. So this all makes sense under this context. Mion somehow cleans up after Shion, and then Satako goes over and kills Mion. That gun that was used to kill them is the same gun she pulls out in the first episode of the Satako-hen arc, so clearly that is Satako's gun, and she has access to it. So it would make sense for her to go kill Mion to cover up the fact that she injected her. So far, it makes sense. Satako kills herself for the reset. Rena's not really involved, which explains why she survives with Keiichi. Let's jump into Arc 3. Satako fakes her abuse. However, her uncle did abuse her in a previous timeline, and Satako remembers this, so don't get me wrong, the uncle's still an asshole, but he did not abuse her to the extent in Gou, like he did in the original. And Oishi knows this, which explains why Oishi was acting the way he was throughout this arc. But not much really changes until the point of the festival. It's likely that Satako injected Teppei and also injected Oishi. So she lured Keiichi to her house to either get Keiichi to kill Teppei to throw off Rika, or had some type of plan. Oishi goes and kills, Rika and Mion Shion. Rena again survives, which is a red herring for people suspecting her at this point, perhaps, because she also survived in Arc 2. If Satako has access to that gun, she could clearly kill herself at any point, so she can still pull off a reset. One thing worth mentioning real quick that doesn't really apply or matter that much to this theory, but each of the culprits have been reversed, whether this is Satako or whoever she's contracted to doing it. It's very interesting that the original culprit is still the culprit, and their victim is the culprit, which could hint at something supernatural affecting them, and not necessarily Satako. for example, if that missing syringe is actually a red herring. Another piece of information that doesn't quite fit anywhere yet is the fact that after the third arc, Hanyu disappears, and then the syndrome starts becoming random and happening a lot quicker. Keiichi rampages like a day in. Satako operates on Rika before she even wakes up. The syndrome has never spread that fast. And the idea that Satako has a syndrome in the, that scene, the operation scene, Satako either injected herself or was pretending in order to, go along with this theory, but it's all just very weird. Not really sure how to put this information together. At least with the Satako theory. However, before I explain what I think happened in between the original and the beginning of Go, I'd like to poke some holes in this Satako theory. For one, how simple would it be if Rena just killed everyone in Arc 1? That would explain why the same knife was used, wouldn't it? And if you pay attention to Rena, she says a lot of cryptic shit that hints at basically prior timelines. It seems like she remembers prior timelines. And another thing is if Satako's whole point is to keep Rika trapped in loops, Rika dies pretty early in Arc 2, so why would Satako not just kill herself and reset again? She sticks around, she acts suspicious of Keiichi and Mion. She even goes to confront Mion. Like, why'd she have to go there and kill Mion? I mean, we could assume it was to hide the fact that she injected her, but if she's just going to reset and leave that fragment, then it doesn't matter. So to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And another thing in Arc 3 is we actually never see her die. I mean, yeah, she could probably get access to that gun at any point and kill herself, but it's very interesting that she pulls her shenanigans with Keiichi at the same time Oishi is pulling his shenanigans with Mion, Shion, Rena, and Rika. So, if her goal is to just keep Rika trapped there, a lot of her actions actually don't make a lot of sense. This could all be explained away. Maybe she has a separate goal in mind and then gets taken over later. She could be taken over at the point of the third arc, which could explain why the syndrome starts behaving differently and why Hanyu actually disappears. But there is another theory, that it's not just Satako. That Feathering or Hanyu is actually approaching different characters in different arcs. Ultimately, this theory is saying that everyone's in on it, minus Shion and Keiichi. What if Feathering or Hanyu approached Rena in Arc 1, right? Rena somehow gets symptoms of the syndrome, or she's pretending, kills Keiichi, and then goes and kills Satako and Rika. And Mion is still sus, but we're literally not shown any of her scenes in that arc, so it's not really fair to guess, because Ryu Kishi is a fucking troll. But I said this before, how simple would it be if Rena just killed everyone in that arc? That would explain everything, why the same knife was used. And then in Arc 2, Feathering or Hanyu approach Mion, and Mion would then kill everyone, or technically Shion could still kill everyone because she would still have symptoms of the syndrome, but it really would seem like that would be fixed with Rika having Keiichi give Mion the doll. So perhaps that was actually Mion killing everyone, and she was the one that killed Rika, and her having the keys to the septic tank wasn't actually red herring, but that's actually because Mion fucking killed Rika in that arc. And Satako could still be remembering things, so that's why she's suspicious at that point. She's like, this isn't how things happened the first time. Weird. She's not the antagonist yet. It's not until Arc 3 that Feathering or Hanyu approaches Satako. And I guess ultimately Satako, the difference here would be that Satako accepts Feathering or Hanyu, whereas Rena and Mion likely rejected her. Because after this point, Hanyu disappears, and Satako seemingly gets fucking godlike powers. The syndrome starts spreading rapidly, and we could safely assume that was Satako, because even if a higher power, so to say, was operating the syndrome earlier, it still was only affecting the victims of the original culprit, not just anyone at any point. So, my point is, it's still safe to say that Satako was behind those 5 rapid death sprees we got. And I also think Satako's contracted specifically to Hanyu, because Hanyu heard Rika say, "Oh, I'm going to try 5 more times," and then it was the 5th time that Satako, plays operation on her. Like, Hanyu could have heard that and set that up, because why would the time after the 5th time be so perfect when Rika was literally just going to try 5 times? Kind of coincidental. And then Feathering would be the one approaching everyone else. And I still think, basically, that Feathering and Hanyu are kind of doing the same thing. Hanyu with Satako, and Feathering with either Rena or Mion. And at some point, Feathering overtakes Hanyu and corrupts her. Something along those lines. Well, let's get into the Satako-hen arc and pretty much our predictions. 1, Satako could fail the exam, and then Rika leaves her. Or 2, maybe Satako doesn't leave of her own volition because of Satoshi, or she just doesn't want to leave the village. She doesn't have to necessarily fail the exam, she could just not want to go. And perhaps she wakes up Hanyu, and this is what starts everything. And Hanyu is equally upset with Rika. I think Hanyu would be more upset with Rika than Satako, because Satako had the option to leave with Rika, unless she fails the test, obviously. But Rika just straight leaves Hanyu, so it really seems like they would kind of have the similar goals in mind. Hanyu and Satako, if they're in cahoots against Rika, that'd make a lot of sense. But that doesn't really explain the crossover antagonist, which is most likely Feathering. I mean, think about it. Even if Satako is Lamb, and then Rika as her collective consciousness is that Bert character, and they're still doing their thing, and this is a prequel for Umineko, whatever, Feathering could still be involved. And you gotta admit, Rena and Mion are still very suspicious, and Ryukishi's a troll, and there's still a lot of cards you could play. But ultimately, those are the 2 theories. Either A, it's Satako, and then Hanyu or Feathering, or both. Or B, everyone's in on it, and Hanyu and Feathering are kind of at war right now. Something along those lines. I will do one follow-up video once the series ends. And with that, we're going to get more into the channel. Yes, the channel. See, I've only been making Higurashi videos as of late, and Higurashi is pretty much my favorite anime. I love horror anime specifically because I love horror, and being an American, we don't make a lot of good horror movies. Something about cute anime characters also makes it more like horrific in a way. It's like, I know it's not as realistic, but movies aren't necessarily realistic either. It's more disturbing to me in anime when it's done right. But, as my name suggests, I actually play a lot of gachas. In fact, I plan on foundating my YouTube channel around gachas at some point. So as it stands, I can't make videos as much as I want. I literally only have an iPad, although it's a pretty sweet iPad. I mean, check out the fucking quality videos right here. You know what I'm saying. And also living conditions. However, very soon great things are happening, and I will be pumping out videos a lot more often. Still quite a few months out, but I will definitely be covering a lot of gachas and maybe horror anime on the side. Who knows? I definitely still plan on following up on Higurashi, though. I'm interested to see where Go goes. Go goes. But my true passion lies in my addiction to gachas, for I am a gachaholic. As you can tell, probably by my party in this Genshin battle. So with that, might I ask, what content do you guys want to see? What is it that you want from me? Is it just Higurashi theories? Or is there more that this was meant to be? Alright, well, if you're just here for the Higurashi shit, that's pretty much over with, so you can go. I'm gonna kind of bullshit around for a little bit, because this fight's almost over, and I don't just want to, randomly cut out the video. already recorded this, and I have an iPad, that's it, so fuck off. If you really love me for who I am, you'll stay. Something like that. Nah, you know, whatever. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. See you in the next video. Alright, for you true homies out there, I'm gonna be going over some future content. Pretty much what I'm doing next. Because even with this iPad, I can still make some interesting things. Make some things happen. Make us some YouTube content. So my next video is gonna be on Exo's Heroes. Why I played it for so long, why I quit, if it's worth playing, and then go over my account and some content. Then we'll be doing Goddess of Genesis, same concept. Why I played it for so long, why it's great, why I quit, should you play it. I also plan on doing Genshin videos, because I love me some Genshin Impact, but there's a lot of content creators already that cover your updates and builds and guides, so it really depends on what you guys want to see. But I mean, hell, if you want it, we can do summon sessions all day, for I will harness the power of the whale. I think that pretty much wraps up my video. Yes, this is a video. And with that, peace out, guys. See you in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe. Later. Sayonara. Have a good day. See you next time.